welcome to another episode of Driven By Dreamz. Joining us today is Reb Risty, founder and head rebel at REBL Marketing. Her entrepreneurial path has been marked by grit, innovation, and a constant desire to build and grow. From selling lemonade with her sister in their front yard as grade school kids, to sharpening her sales skills by selling Cutco knives during her senior year of high school, Reb's drive to succeed started early. She has since owned a large range of businesses, from an e-commerce store to a Polynesian entertainment company to a fast food franchise where she learned invaluable lessons about perseverance and leadership. Alongside her husband, she has expanded into real estate investments and rental properties, adding another layer to her already diverse business portfolio. Let's dive into her incredible journey and uncover the insights she's gained from years of entrepreneurial experience. Hi, Reb. It's great to meet you.
Nice to meet you too.
I'm excited to connect with you today. Could you start by sharing a bit about yourself?
When I think about my entrepreneurial journey, it really started when I was young. I was always fascinated with like how to sell things, or kind of even though I didn't know at the time, like setting up a business and, collecting the money and talking with people. So I would say my earliest ventures were, doing the lemonade stands in our front yard with my sister. And which, looking back, that was a good educational lesson on location, because not many people were coming down our street. But we still had fun, making the lemonade, making the signs, that type of thing, to, babysitting. I would do that to have a little bit of extra cash. To when I was a senior in high school, I joined an organization called Cutco, which is famous for their sales methodology. But that was also back when you could go door to door and actually talk to people. So I did that one summer before I went to college. And then I did things like annual fund, where I learned to talk to donors and talk about why they should give back to the university and help support, education. I went to Virginia Tech, so having a good football team helps a lot. And then, when I came here to San Diego, I actually started how my first kind of professional business was a gift basket business that I started for a realtor friend. And I used to do professional Polynesian dancing. And what she would do is have us dress up and deliver the gift baskets with this Polynesian theme. So they'd have like candles, from Hawaii, and leis and different fun things in there that were kind of aloha themed. And from there, I ended up actually starting my own halau, my own Polynesian group, and did that for almost 15 years on the side. I had 5 partners at one time. We had a studio and students, and then that kind of dwindled down, and I ended up kind of taking the last of it the last few years, until my hip started to hurt so bad I couldn't dance anymore. So I emceed a lot, but that eventually kind of died off a little bit, as I really couldn't dance anymore. And then fast forward, ran a small franchise pita shop that did not do well. Actually put my husband and I into bankruptcy. So we learned about a lot of things to not do in business. One, when they say don't work with your friends or family, they mean it. That was a really tough lesson. And we've invested in some real estate projects here and there, but I'd say my biggest and proudest business is running REBL Marketing, and I run that today.
That's amazing how you faced all those challenges, got past it. So you mentioned how your early experiences helped you figure out things like location. So how did that also help you shape your mindset as a business owner today?
Well, I came from a blue collar family, and my parents both worked very hard. At one point, both my parents worked 2 jobs, to make sure that we had enough income and put food on the table. So I just think I always had that hardworking background. And whenever you're doing something for yourself, you kind of have to think of everything. And so it's learning those nuances of being flexible and quick on your feet, and being able to learn new things and kind of go with the flow as well. I think people who, and taking chances. It's funny, I never thought of myself as being fearless, but my father-in-law actually was the one who said that. And it was not even really due to my working, it was something else that I was doing. We're actually riding horses, and I'd taken my mom's mother-in-law's stallion, and I really wanted to, run with him fast. And my father-in-law just said, gosh, that, just told my husband that I was fearless. And it was kind of funny, that stuck with me. And you do kind of have this just innate, I don't know, like something inside you that just drives you, and you have to be a little bit fearless. And so I always had that, and curiosity.
Yeah. So do you have any advice for how young entrepreneurs should view marketing and how they should go about it?
Oh man, marketing has changed so much. I think they should view it in a couple of ways, as it is a very integral piece and important to any business. And yes, the fun parts are creating content and videos and, maybe ads and things like that. I love doing that creative part. I think what would be important is learning how to understand the analytics and the numbers that are driving your strategic decisions on what you do create for marketing. And before, it wasn't as easy to measure marketing campaigns. Like, you might run an ad in a local paper. Maybe it's tied to a phone number that you could track. And that's probably about the best you could do. You couldn't really see like how many people were looking at it. Did they like the headline or not? It would be very costly to test different headlines. Now, with online digital tools, you can test different headlines. AI now is allowing you to do that kind of on the fly and providing even better options for your creative. So I definitely think, as a young marketer, entrepreneur, first, just realizing marketing isn't all about the creative. It is a lot about the numbers and being able to go in and read your stats and understand them to a level, or have someone on your team that understands them. And then definitely AI is playing a huge role in marketing today, with chat creating content, all the AI video creators, and they're just getting smarter and smarter. And the example, like AI now, Meta, a while back launched AI in their Facebook ads. LinkedIn is doing the same. So I think there's a lot of advantages there to understand the technology, but it really goes back to understanding the numbers.
So what are some of the most common marketing pitfalls that you've seen, and how can they be avoided?
That's a really good question. The biggest thing I see for growing companies is they don't invest in their marketing. They kind of look at it as something they have to do. And I think once a company is in that 2 million to 5 million range, they really should be looking at marketing differently and looking at it as an investment that can be driving business. In the beginning, when you start, you do everything on your own. It totally makes sense. You write your own blogs, you create your own ads, you do your own website, because that's what you have to do. But when you get to a certain point, you have to change that because you want to be more strategic. So I would say the biggest pitfall is just not investing in marketing to begin with, trying to do it all themselves, and then not testing and trying different things. Again, with so much opportunity, different platforms, different ways to do marketing, AI, you really do have to be testing because it's evolving constantly. And what worked for you last year probably isn't going to work this year. And so you just constantly have to be testing and trying new things.
You mentioned that you like the creative part of marketing. So other than AI, what are some other trends that you're excited about currently?
That's a great question. AI is the biggest one. Probably and I mostly focus on B2B services, professional services. And I would say that people actually still like it when you pick up the phone. And that might be a little bit more of a sales BD thing, but I still believe there's opportunity where marketing and sales can overlap, and marketing can help provide those scripts or do surveys. And I think people still appreciate a phone call. Now we're moving into text messaging, which is, a little bit, so it's interesting. This is also where I think that age makes a difference. Like, if you're talking to Gen X or even Gen Y, they're probably more willing to take a phone call that seems more personal to them. And then if you've got Gen Z or millennials, they are more willing to take a text message. So those are some trends I'm seeing. I have to admit, we haven't quite maneuvered how to do text messaging. My audience tends to be a little bit older, so do my clients' audiences. But I do think if you're targeting millennials and Gen Z and younger than that, learning about text messaging and how to use SMS is going to be pretty important, as well as voice. Another thing that we're seeing, people are not checking or necessarily typing in their search queries anymore. They're on their phone. They're using voice. So it's a totally different way to develop key phrases and key terms. And the last thing that we're learning too is the younger generation is not in email. In fact, they don't check their personal email at all. And I don't blame them. So again, I think that goes back to learning how to use text and social media and other ways to get in front of those audiences is pretty important.
Well, thank you for that advice. So, given your experience across various industries from e-commerce to real estate investments, what are some key strategies you've developed for scaling businesses?
Oh, wow. Definitely people make a huge difference. You know, when I started out, I did a lot of it on my own. And then I slowly brought in contractors. And now we're at a point where we're hiring full-time people. And having full-time dedicated people is really where you scale and you can grow, along with leveraging technology. So we invested heavily in a CRM at the beginning of the year. We're now white labeling and providing that as a service to our customers because automation is going to be key into scaling because you can't do everything manually. Manual processes cannot be repeated at a scalable operating pace. So definitely leveraging CRMs for marketing automation, sales automation, AI to help generate content, to provide, custom GPTs, things like that, where you can really develop messaging and marketing kind of foundations faster. And then from there, having, the right people in the right seats. And when you do get to the point, investing in full-time team members is really important for that growth.
So, for that growth, for hiring people, what do you look for and how do you help your team grow?
We definitely look for personality over skill set. I think we've all worked with somebody that was really great at their job, but maybe personally didn't fit the culture, or they somehow bring the team down because they have a negative attitude or whatever, or they think they're too good at what they do. So personality over skill set, for sure. We like people that are flexible, who are curious, that want to go above and beyond for our clients. We can always train them. And then I think as a leader, it's really important to always know that you need to be learning how to be a better leader. Like I have a coach who, trains me weekly on leadership. And she also works with my team. So we're a fully, integrated leadership program where I'm not just taking leadership, but my team's taking leadership on how to learn to speak up more, how to bring their ideas to the table. And then I'm learning how to listen better and provide better directions and guidance and letting my team have the freedom to grow and to do things. So that's a key point. I don't know if I answered your question, but I do think, leadership goes both ways, training yourself as the leader of the company, but also providing those leadership opportunities for your team.
Well, that did answer my question, so thank you.
Okay, good.
What advice do you have for entrepreneurs when it comes to building resilience and handling stress in the face of business challenges? Because I know you've had to do that a lot based on your journey. So how did you do it?
Oh my gosh. Screaming and yelling. No, just kidding. Just kidding. I think honestly, peer groups are so invaluable. Being able to talk to others that are in the same seat, going through the same things. Maybe they're having little different challenges you didn't even know that you should be aware of. So I think peer groups are a huge opportunity to help mitigate issues, learn from each other, and just know that you're not alone. I think that is the CEO founder. It's their biggest challenge is feeling like they're alone, especially when you're in that growth stage and trying to scale your company up. And then once you have a good executive team, definitely filling the seats around you, whether that's operations, fractional professionals. Like I have a fractional CFO. That helps me a lot. I'm not a numbers person. I'm not, going to looking at my P&L every day. So having that seat filled, knowing that I have the confidence, somebody knows how to read my numbers and can provide me strategic guidance, I think that's really key as well. So it's, and resilience is just having to remind yourself that you can fail, it's okay. And once you do it a few times, you know how to fix that and just make it better. And having peer groups. And then whether you can have a professional full-time person on your team or filling that role with a fractional person, it's important to have the key areas in your business, like, operations, human HR, finances, marketing, which I fill that seat, of course, sales. So those key roles can pivotal to, spreading the stress and having your team around you.
So could you share a book, podcast, or resource that has significantly influenced your career?
A podcast or a resource? So I am a StoryBrand certified coach, and how I got certified was many years ago. Someone had mentioned a book to me called StoryBrand, and I read it, and it just really changed the way we approach messaging for our clients, where we talk about the client first. We make them the hero. We talk about their pain points in our messaging before we get into who we are and what we do and how we help them. So I think that little change in reading that book made a huge difference in how I provide messaging branding for myself and for my clients. And then listening to their podcast, just like you're producing your podcast, there's so many great podcasts out there, and I learned so much. And then I got certified a little over a year ago. So that made a huge difference in my confidence in our agency and how we approach messaging and branding projects for our clients. And it works every time. The framework is really invaluable. And then secondary, we're now moving on to CRM services, marketing automation, sales enablement through a platform called High Level. We're white labeling it as REBL CRM. That's what our agency's doing. It's very popular for agencies to do. It's built that way so that we can then in turn customize and build it out for our clients to help them leverage automation and enablement tools as well as AI that plug into the system. And it's a really nice package to bring that all together.
Other than what you've shown, like how your leadership has grown and how you've changed the way you brand for your company, how have you grown as an entrepreneur, and what are some valuable lessons that you've learned along the way?
Never give up. There's definitely times you want to. Actually, it was a great saying I heard Oprah say once. When you don't know what to do, it's okay to do nothing. And I always leaned into that because I think as entrepreneurs, because we are driven people, you just want to do everything all the time. If there's a gap, you want to fill it. Something breaks, you got to fix it right away. And sometimes that's not the best approach. Sometimes you need to take a breath, take a moment, and the best action is no action until you can kind of figure it out. And that's where having peer groups and an executive team be able to bounce ideas off of and stuff. So as entrepreneurs, we like to jump to things all the time. Boom, 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 boom. So I think taking that minute and that breath is very helpful. That always stuck with me. I was listening to an interview with Oprah, and I just remember that line. When I don't know what to do, I do nothing.
Well, that's really important advice. I mean, sometimes I feel like I need to do stuff, and when I'm confused, it's like making any decision is better than making no decision. But it's good to know that sometimes doing nothing is the best option.
Yeah. I mean, and I don't think she meant, or I mean, do nothing forever, right?
Yeah, I get that.
You need a day or the weekend. Like they always say when you're writing copy, you should always put it down and come back to it a day later because it will completely change in your mind and you can come back and evaluate better. So,
Well, thank you for that. So I think that's a good place to end this. If you could give one piece of advice to your younger self, what would it be?
I would have started REBL Marketing sooner. So all my other companies and businesses I always ran on the side, except for the franchise pita, I call it the pita pit, but I always kind of did things on the side. And I think I wish I would have had the confidence to just start a little sooner.
Okay. Well, it's been a huge privilege and pleasure to speak with you today, Reb. So thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much. I really appreciate the interview, and I'm excited to see what you're doing. It takes a lot of effort to put on a podcast, I know. So good for you for getting out there and meeting other entrepreneurs and taking the time to create some great content.
Thank you so much.